What I'd like to talk about right now is about the music industry and about the fuckery that goes on in the music industry all the time. If y'all have noticed, Adele's album has sold over 3 million copies, which is great, from Adele. She's a great singer. When I first heard her, I thought she was a black American woman. But she's great. So we ain't going to take nothing away from that. But at the same time, it shows the fuckery that goes on in the music industry that people don't even realize is going on. Here's one example. For some reason, Columbia Records and Sony decided to ship about 3 million copies of CDs to stores all over the country, United States country. And for some odd reason, about 2.5 million of them CDs had sold. You see, folks, this is the fuckery I'm talking about. You see, the music industry had you believing that records that sales was down on CDs and that sales, period, and album sales was down, period. When it was never the case. You see, let me tell you what really happened, folks. What really happened is this thing called Napster came out, and the internet came out, and people started downloading for free. All the big major labels decided to sue Napster for allowing people to download for free. At the same time, as they was doing that, they decided, oh, wait a second. We can use this technology now to cut costs. We can use this technology now to have people buy our albums digitally instead of manufacturing a whole bunch of CDs and cassettes. So what they did in the early 2000s is they started to cut back on shipping CDs and started using more of the digital format. And then on top of that, Apple iTunes came around, and eMusic, and Rhapsody. All these digital stores started coming around. So the industry decided to cut back even further on shipping CDs. Because they wanted to cut costs by also making a lot of money. This is how a lot of big corporations think in the first place. Cut costs, but still they can make a lot of money. Anyway, back on topic. So they started just having people, the artists, upload on their songs and everything on the digital formats and thinking that was going to work. But guess what, folks? It did not work. It failed. Why did it fail? Because Apple iTunes and all these stores wanted to make sure that people could download a song, buy a song for 99 cents. The major labels thought that would be a good idea. And so they allowed that to happen. But what they didn't realize is that by not putting those CDs in stores and by having people download only one song for 99 cents, you was going to lose money. Because now people are going to download their favorite songs instead of buying the whole album. And so album sales started to dip. And sales, period, started to dwindle. See, these single sales went up, but all the album sales went down. And that caused a lot of major labels to cut back on staff and to cut back on artist development and cut back on budgets because these idiots didn't think before they decided to go by that format of digital format. And so now you got an industry now where it's all in disarray. as far as the major label concerned, where you got artists that shouldn't even be in the music industry who make garbage music, and now people was like, damn, the music industry is going down. Now, was it good for the independent artists and independent labels? Yeah, it was, because it gave independent artists and independent labels a way to put their music out without manufacturing CDs. So it was a little bit of a positive on the independent side. But that's only because they're independent. They don't have the money, the budget to do this, to manufacture CDs. Major labels have that budget. It was no reason for them to cut back on CDs and telling the public that CD sales are dropping because people ain't buying CDs no more. I knew that was garbage from the time I started listening. I've been following these formats. Because how the hell I can see independent labels right now, like Strange Music, which is Tech Nine's label, still be able to sell CDs with no problem. But the major labels can't sell CDs. Give me a break. The bottom line is that they decided to go to a format that they thought was going to be great and going to cut their costs, and it failed. It failed. It's kind of like the same thing with vinyl. People thought they were going to kill vinyl, and they come to find out that, no, people really still will buy vinyl. But people want to use technology, going to try to advance technology. They don't realize that people will buy. If we ever went to CD format and digital format, people will still be buying vinyl right now. Why? Because they wouldn't have a choice but to buy vinyl. You see, that's the problem with human society, is that we try to advance so much that we don't think half of the time. We just see technology and we try to run with it, not realizing that sometimes that can fuck you up in the end. And the music industry, it fucked the music industry up. They should have stuck with vinyl from the beginning. They should have never went to CD format in the first place. That costs more money to make. And they should have never went to digital, because now you have stores telling you that us to survive, we need to give people choices to make to buy singles off that album. That's the dumb shit about the music industry. They don't know what they're doing half of the time, half of these people. So now, some of them woke up, and now they realizing we need to go back and have people buy CDs again. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to give limited digital options. And one of the ones they gave less of a digital option to is streaming, because streaming also came along and destroyed the music industry. If you look at it, especially with the artists, it did good for the fans, but for the artists, it destroyed the artists and some of the independent labels. Because these people that do the stream, that own the streaming services, don't pay the artists and the labels nothing. They pay them like one fraction of a penny for each stream. That ain't no money. So, I mean, come on. So now they're going back, and Adele, and let me tell you something. It was the artists the reason why these people wouldn't go buy CDs. It wasn't the labels. It was artists. Artists requested that, I don't want our shit streamed. Either you put it on iTunes and make CDs or nothing. So Adele forced, and then her label SL Recordings forced Columbia Records in the United States to make the press of them CDs. Other than that, Columbia Records wouldn't have did it. They wouldn't have done it. And then you did it, and and look what happened. Now all of a sudden you got all these people buying CDs. CD sales are all of a sudden up there when it comes to Adele's album. So what I'm trying to say is the industry need to get out their ass, stop licking their assholes, and get back to the basics. Bring back vinyl more. Put more CDs in the stores, and maybe your sales will go up, because people will have no choice but to buy vinyl and CDs. Stop trying to get all technical so you can cut costs and get back to what it was before. The greatest time in music history, as far as sales in my opinion, was the 60s and 70s. That was the best time. I know the 80s was the greatest time as far as album sales, but as far as overall, it was the 60s and 70s. Why? Because people had no choice but to buy vinyl. You got to force people to buy CDs and vinyl. And if y'all ain't forcing people to buy CDs and vinyl, guess what? They ain't going to buy it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that iTunes and digital downloads is not good, because it kind of saved a lot of independent labels and artists. It did. It gave them a platform to be able to put their CDs, their albums out. But at the same time, overall, it's not good for the music industry to just have digital downloading. Because first of all, everybody don't have an iPod, and most people don't have apps on their Galaxy and fucking Android phones to be able to listen to something like Spotify. Wake up in this music industry. Wake the fuck up and stop this bullshit. Stop it now. Stop it. Because all you don't want is making asses out of everybody. And we don't need that. We need y'all to get back to basics. You seen how the Adele CD was able to sell by the thousands. So therefore, it was never because CD sales, we don't buy CDs no more. Because some of you assholes decided has made a decision to stop making CDs and start going to the digital format, which causes a lot of CD stores to go down, a lot of record stores to go downhill, and in the closed shop. Especially a lot of mom and pop stores, because y'all wasn't giving them no CDs. That's what it was. It had nothing to do with the fucking fact that the CD sales, they wasn't selling no CDs in their store. Y'all was not giving them no CDs. That's what it came down to. Y'all wasn't giving no CDs, and they know it, but they didn't say nothing. Y'all wasn't giving no CDs. Y'all was telling them that, CD sales are down, so we can't give no CDs. That's what you was telling the stores. Which was a lie. You was telling them that because you wanted to go to a digital format and you didn't want to take your money and spend it on manufacturing costs. That's what it came down to. And because of that, the industry is in disarray. This Adele woke me up. It woke a lot of us up. But I was already woken. I already knew that was bullshit. I already knew it. I was like, come on, man. Because I knew for a fact, I go down south to my father's funeral. And I still seeing in North Carolina, and I'm still seeing my cousins and them and my nieces and everything rocking CDs. And this is in 2010. This is at the height of iTunes, when everybody in New York wanted an iPhone. But for some reason down in North Carolina, where my pops and my parents was born and raised, and my grandparents was from, they still rocking CDs at the same time. And New York is up here, where I'm from, New York, was in the iPods and iTunes. Come on, I already know already. I already knew. You got artists right now who still refer CDs, who still would tell, especially in the South, who still would tell the record label, whoever they mess with, to give them CDs. Because down in the South, they still rock CDs hard. So I know that was a lie. That was a lie. The industry lied to y'all, folks. They lied to you. They lied and said, people wasn't buying CDs no more. That's why CD sales are down. No, it was never like that. It's that the major labels were not putting no CDs in the stores because they wanted to go by digital formatting, and it failed. Now they're trying to go back to CDs because the fact is they're trying to get their money now, which they never should have stopped in the first place. Just like they should have never stopped vinyl. I believe that if they never went from vinyl to CD to digital and it's kept with vinyl, people right now will still be rocking vinyl right now to this day.